looking at this worksheet, H18. And as you look at H18, this is what I specifically need. If you say no, like in number 2, were you going to say no on number 2 that they're not similar? So we have 80, 60. What does this measure at angle N have to be if I have 80 and 60? Has to be 40. So if I know this is 40, and then in the bigger triangle, I have 80, 25, this is definitely not either 40 or 60, right? So the reason that these two are not similar, okay? Not similar because only one angle was congruent, okay? Only one angle was congruent. What was our angle that was congruent? Angle P was congruent to angle P, which equals 80 degrees, okay? So if you didn't tell me that one angle, and then being specific about what that one angle is, I need to see that. Does that make sense? So I see there's a question on number 6. By the way, number 3 is similar. So make sure you tell me all the angles. Okay, so the answers in the back aren't just clear on what the angles are. They just say, yes, it's similar, or no, it's not. In number 6, if I look at extending our parallel lines. So if I'm going to take and extend this parallel line and this parallel line, and then I might want to extend my transversal. This is one of the transversals, right? And I do have another transversal, okay? When you look at parallel lines, this is why I've suggested going to Quizlet and practicing all the vocabulary. When I look at parallel lines, the first thing I should be thinking is corresponding alternate interior, alternate exterior. Now in this case, I have 2 triangles, and the triangles are in the interior of my 2 parallel lines. So I should definitely be thinking alternate interior, not corresponding. And the other thing I might be thinking is when 2 lines cross, I have vertical angles. So I have many different ways of showing these. When you get into geometry, you'll do proofs. You have to be very specific. We are not looking for that on the test. I am just looking for you to tell me why are the 2 triangles similar. So raise your hand if you see one of those types of angles that you could tell me. Daniel.
Do you have Mrs. I's masking tape?
I don't, but I have some masking tape, and she can definitely have this.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So, go ahead, which one?
Alternate interior.
Alternate interior, where?
Angle W, angle V.
Angle W with angle V. So far I have angle W, I want to write down, is congruent to angle V. And my reason for saying that would be alternate interior. Grace, got another one?
Yeah, angle Y, like vertical.
So when we are at angle Y, we got to be more specific because you're talking about this angle in the triangle, right? And this angle. So I can't just call it Y because there's actually 4 angles around Y. So if I'm going to do this one up at top, what would you call it, Grace? 3 letters. X. I can't have Y. Y has to be in the middle. Y has to be my vertex. So you want to start with X or start with W? Okay, so tell me the 3 letters. No, X, Y, W. Does that make sense? X to Y to W.
Yeah.
Got to have Y in the middle, okay? Congruent to angle on the bottom, then, Sophie, I'm going to have what? Okay, V, Y, Z. At this point, can I say the 2 triangles are similar? So I am going to say in number 6, yes, similar triangles. And my reason is because I have these 2 angles congruent. What are the 2 angles? You need to specifically tell me what those 2 angles were. Could you have used just alternate interior angles for both of them? Could you have said, you know what, this angle right here, which I'm going to put 3 marks, is the same as X. Angle X could have been congruent to angle Z, and that would have been the same reason up here as alternate interior, okay? So when you're given parallel lines, and this is what it'll look like on the test. You have at least 2 questions, and I'll talk about this a little later, of how this looks on the test. Any other questions as you look at this page through number 7 on this page? Okay? So make sure if you didn't tell me, oh, like in this one, you have this one set of 92. Once you find this angle, if it happens to be 41, then you get to say, yes, you have 2 angles congruent, because you have 92 and 2 41s. If it does not come out to equal 41, you definitely know you only have 1 set of congruent angles. The 92s were the same in both, but no other angles, therefore not going to be similar triangles, okay? Any questions on that next page, 9 through 12? Okay. The last page is what I kind of want to look at on this one, on that last question on 13. So, first thing I want you to do is over to the side here, we are going to redraw these 2 triangles. Is yours? What's that? I will go back to 12. Let's go do 13, then I will go back to 12. So draw your 2 triangles, but separate them. So put the letters going around and mark the angles, okay? So by doing that, we're going to put B here, we're going to put C over here, and we're going to put A here. Now at B, I know this is definitely a right angle, so draw that separately, please. We know this angle down here going from B to C is how many degrees? Does that make sense that it's a 30? In this one, it's 20 and X. So it's like 20 plus X. Okay, does that make sense to everyone? That angle at A is 20 plus X degrees. Okay? If we redraw the other triangle with the right angle, no, my lines are too straight. This is our 90 degree at D. This is C. This is going to be 30 plus Y. What is our angle over here at A? It goes from C to A to D. Should be 20. Does that make sense to everyone? So it says, what are the values of X and Y? If I am looking at this one, what do I know about these three angles inside this triangle to find X? They have to total to 180. So I have a 90, I have a 30, and I have 20 plus X. All have to equal 180. I'm going to add my like terms and solve. So I have 90 plus 50, which gives me 140 plus X equals 180. You should be able to find X. If you have not shown me how you found Y and you just said, well, I just looked at the picture and was able to tell you how many degrees, then make sure you do this same work like I have here to get the answer for Y. Okay? Write it out, your 3 angles again have to total to 180. Okay? So, before you turn this in today, 18 is due in class today before you leave. I need the 2 questions at the top. I need you to show this work. There was a question on number 12, so we'll look at number 12 quickly. In number 12, it tells you that angle 1 starts out at 48 degrees. And it asks you to find the missing angles, and that means all the rest of the numbers. So your worksheet today that you're going to get looks a lot like, there's some questions like this. It has all the kind of stuff that's on the test. If I know this, and they tell us that these are perpendicular, that tells us that we have this right angle. Which one are you looking for that was?
Actually, I just read the
Okay. All right. So you've had to, I will always give you that one angle is 48 besides the 90 because you kind of need that. So once you know that, you should have been able to find 4 and then be able to find the rest of the angles, okay? I always have students look at this and they go, yeah, but you know what? Angle 5 looks bigger than angle 4, so I think it can't be like the right numbers. It's not drawn to scale. It's not exactly, but as you're using those numbers, okay? So as you look at those. All right, so finish that. I want you to turn right now and look at H19. And then I'm going to show you what exactly is on the test. So when it says on this page, because I had a couple people in track that are going to be gone in my afternoon classes and to take the test on Thursday. And so if they're gone, or if you know you're gone from this class for some reason, you want to schedule with me to make that up. We need to get that done sooner rather than later. So someone was looking at their questions as they looked at these and they go, I don't get what you have to determine what they're similar. This is exactly like the 18 worksheet. Explain why or why not. The key reason why two things are similar, two congruent angles. You have to tell me the two congruent angles, okay? So you can't just say, yes, they're similar or no, they're not. On the test, this is like a 4-point question when you look at this, okay? As you look at this next page, you're going to be looking at identifying the different angles. So it'll say, can identify the angle relationships. That's the corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior, supplementary, all of those type of angles. Some of you may have forgotten that we did this at the beginning where we did size changes and dilation, or your dilations going larger or smaller, reflecting, rotating. If you need to look back over those note cards, you will have questions like that. So as you look at questions 8 and 9, where you have to actually do 2 or 3 things as you are looking at one of the pictures. And then on the test, the other thing that you're going to be asked to do is identify how you get from one triangle to the next. So you have to tell me the step of sequences to tell me if it's similar or congruent. I would say if you are able to go through this review, 19, and do almost all the work and get it checked and look at the answers, and you have no problem with it, you will probably do very well on the test. If you struggle getting through most of this, like some of you will look in the back and go, oh yeah, I know it's a size change, but I'm not sure how much. Well, you might want to kind of look at where is your beginning point. And here, when you're doing the triangles, you need to tell me, are you starting with the big one or starting with the smaller one? Because your directions are going to be totally different. Now, on the test, there's some of them that I tell you go from the smaller to the larger. But then there's other ones where I just say, are these two similar or congruent? And the directions would be very different. So when you are looking at these, make sure you tell me which one you started with, which one you end. Okay? And then, what is on your test? This is what you're going to put down. I can draw, this is on the back page of your notes. So when you finish 18 today, you're going to turn that in with the 2 questions. Then you're working on 19 during class. I can draw transformations. So if we are looking at that you can draw a transformation. It'd help if I could spell that right when I put that in there, huh? All right, so I can draw transformations. There's going to be 2 questions worth 16 points. So, as you look at that review, on 19, those are like the questions 10, 11, 12, those questions where you are looking at actually drawing it, okay? I can prove that the triangles are similar. This is exactly like your worksheet that you just did for today. There's going to be 2 questions. Each one is worth 4 points. So you telling me, yes, it's similar, that's 1 point. The other 3 points from telling me the 2 angles and probably why you have those angles. Are they alternate interior? Were they vertical? Were they corresponding? However that looks, okay? The next one is that I can identify and use angle relationships. So that's kind of like when we were doing, as I'm looking at this review of 19, this is like questions 9 through, if I'm looking at it, actually question 4 through 6, 4 to 6 on your review is going to be that type of questions. I can identify, if I'm thinking about H19, this is kind of 4, 5, 6, 7, 4 to 7, those types of questions, okay? And then the last thing you're asked to do is to write the sequence of transformations. So when I look at your review, this is going to be like questions 12 and 13. As I look at that. Drawing the transformations, that's kind of 8 through 11 on that H19. And the proving the triangles similar, that's like questions 1, 2, and 3 on here, where you're asked, why are the triangles similar? Well, you're telling me the true two angles. This is also a lot like H18. That's where you did a lot of those. All these ones with the transformations, this is the beginning of the unit. When we did like up through H15 or something like that, okay? This is up to H15. So if you're looking back at, oh, what's the difference of reflecting over the x-axis or the y-axis? When you rotate 90 degrees clockwise to 90 degrees counterclockwise, when you do a 180-degree rotation. So all of those different things as you are taking a look at it. Questions on anything as you are looking at what's going to be on the test